All right, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you two things. The first is how to deploy a webhook to send data outside of the getsignals platform into a platform of your choice. And the second is how to send reaction data and also comment data to a clay table. And with our engagement data, whether it's reactions or comments, we send them in a batch format with approximately 50 rows for every batch that's sent. So there's some special handling required inside of Clay for this that I'm going to show you now. It's very simple to set up, but if you're either new to Clay or if you've not done or dealt with nested objects before, it might be a little confusing. So I'm going to show you really quick. So from your Clay account, and this is actually a free trial. So if you're not familiar with Clay and you've heard about it or just want to play around with it, what I'm going to show you can be done inside of their free trial if you want to sample it and give it a try. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to New, create a new workbook. And in this case, I'll name it demo. And I'm going to do a blank table. All right, I'm gonna go and expand actions, click on sources, and view all sources. We're looking for the webhook option because we want to be able to add in data from a webhook. So I'm gonna select webhook. And at this point, Clay is going to create a custom webhook endpoint for me. So I'm just gonna click on copy. And then I'm gonna head back into Get Signals, and I'm going to navigate to integrations and to webhooks. So we're going to add this webhook. So once the webhook is actually added to your getsignals account, it's completely reusable, meaning that once it's configured in here, it's contained as an object, and then you can assign it to any number of signals or use it inside the UI from reporting views to push out data manually if you want to, or from contacts, all of that. And so you only have to add it once. That's demo 2. And we'll click on add webhook. So I just pasted into the webhook URL input the same webhook URL that I just copied from the Clay table. Now, it's saved. Here it is, GS demo 2. The first thing I want to do is I want to use the test function because that's going to send a test webhook payload to Clay, which is going to allow me to configure my Clay table around the data payload that we're going to be sending once this is in production. So in this case, we'll go with comments. So we have 4 different types of payloads. Posts, so if you're sending out posts to a payload, the contacts for exported and enriched contacts that are inside your getsignals account, and then reactions and comments, which are both engagement data pieces. So we're going to go with comments. All right, so that just sent the test payload to Clay. So I'm going to hop back over to Clay, and you can see it. Here it is, boom, right there. So like I said, so we send in batches, and that's mainly for efficiency. But what it does is it creates these nested objects. So within my payload, under this batch tab, then we have comments, and then we have 50 individual nested comments, essentially. So each one is its own contained data row. But we want to have each of those ultimately saved to its own unique row inside of Clay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hover over comments, and this would say reactions if you were looking at that particular payload. But you'll know because the button changes from add as column to take action on list. And the list that's referring to is all these nested objects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on take action on list and select the write each item to a new row in another table. All right, so we're just going to click on create. This is going to create a new table for us. And basically what's going to end up happening is the webhook is going to enter inside of this table that we're looking at right now. And then this formula is going to parse out each one of those rows, and it's going to then send it to a secondary table. So that's really where all the action is going to eventually happen. We're going to have auto update on, and what this means is any new webhooks that are posted to this table should automatically process and then be pushed to this new table. Click save, and we'll just run the 2 rows. All right, now we can see it sent 50 rows. So basically our interactions with this table are essentially done. So what I'm going to do is if you see up here under GS demo, I'm going to click on that, and that's going to take us back to this workbook view with everything that we have going on inside this particular setup. And now you can see I have a new table and it's showing me 50 rows. So this is the batch test or payload that I'd sent. And now each one was sent over as its own row. I'm just going to double click on that and it's going to take me into this table. Okay. So you can start by just going up to row 1. You can see the arrow with the row, which means it has incoming data, but none of it's mapped yet. So we don't have any columns. So once I click on that, I can see the individual row payload. So there's now 50 of them, one representing every single nested object that was inside batches. So if we come over here, you can see all the data that we send, and this is all sample data just so you can build out your mapping. But inside of the production environment or inside of a production case where the webhook sends, these are all the same data fields that you would be receiving. So all you have to do at this point is you can expand them and see what you actually need for your own requirements. So, right at the top, you're going to see the organic or the original organic post that someone commented on. We have the author's details, the basic metrics for the post at the time that we're sending this, the actual comment that was made, and then the profile for whomever was doing the commenting. So you can start with whichever data point you want, and then you just click Add as Column, Create Column, and as you go, you'll see it begins propagating on the actual worksheet inside the table. So you don't have to do every single one. I mean, you can do as much as is actually required for whatever enrichment tasks you're planning on running after this. But we send as much data as we possibly can. We'll add the actual comment body. Then you can rename the columns as you go. So you go through, add, each of the data points, maybe all of them, maybe only some of them. And as you add them, you'll see this data appear. So typically what I do at this point now, the mapping is set up and ready to go. So, you don't necessarily have to keep all of these sample rows, obviously, because the logic has now already been set up and created. But now let me show you how to action this. So now let's say that your goal at this point is to have the engagement data, in our case, comments, automatically be sent to the Clay table anytime new comments are extracted whenever the signal runs. So all you have to do to affect that is go to, in our case, we're doing comments, so we're going to be looking for webhook integration, and this is under the configure option for your signal. Go to the webhook integration for export comments. We're going to enable send comments to a webhook. And then there's our webhook that we got already set up. And then next step, finish and save. And that's literally all it takes. So again, as your signal runs and as new comments come in, it's automatically, you can see it's already been updated in our export option. So you can see it here in the interface. Then every single comment that we extract from all the different posts that we're finding, all the different posts that we're refreshing and updating, then automatically going to be sent to that Clay table. And that's it. It works the exact same for reactions because those are the two that are sent in batches. When it comes to posts and contacts, I'll do a separate video on that, but those are not sent in batches, so you don't need to create the formula to push that those nested objects into a separate table. Once you send your test webhook, you can work from the exact same table, the single worksheet that you create, and then follow the same process of adding the columns. But you don't need to have the two tables set up for those scenarios. So that's it. Clay is obviously very powerful. There's a lot that you can do with our AI agents that might satisfy your needs. For more complex use cases, Clay is great, and you can get your signal data into Clay, as you can see, in less than 5 minutes. So I hope that was helpful. Any questions on this, please let us know.